What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I am partnering up with Cirque Colors to show you their brand new Falling in Lust collection. So this collection is described as an indie sleaze inspired nail polish collection. So think like grungy early 2000s kind of vibes. We've got 6 new nail polishes and we also have a really exciting nail foil set. But before we get into the details, if you haven't heard of Cirque Colors before, they are an independent nail polish brand that is based in the US, and all of their polishes are 10 free, meaning they're free of 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They are vegan, meaning they do not use any animal derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. So like I said, we've got 6 polishes today, 3 of which are jellies, which I absolutely love. We've also got 1 cream finish, 1 glitter topper, and we have a magnetic polish. And of course, we've got the foil set, which I'm also going to give you a little mini tutorial on how to use. And because I can't help myself when it comes to jelly nail polishes, I'm also doing a little bit of experimenting because you can do a lot with jelly sandwiches with some unexpected combinations. So let me show you all of that, then we'll talk a little bit more about pricing, availability, my thoughts on the collection. So let's just go ahead and roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today I am using the Cirque base coat, so I will link that down below. So we'll start off with the jellies, which of course I was the most excited about. This first one is called Bitten jelly and it is described as a deep magenta. And this of course is in the classic jelly formula, so it is intentionally sheer but buildable and perfect for doing jelly sandwiches or any sort of sheer nail art, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love this intense, almost fuchsia kind of color that you get. It's definitely giving me a little bit of like a dragon fruit vibe, and I think it would be so cute to use this and do little black seeds, maybe even do a jelly sandwich with their topper spotted. Would be so cute. But anyway, I got perfect coverage on this in 3 coats on its own. I think it looks really beautiful. You definitely get that full juiciness of the jelly. You still see a little bit of that visible nail line, and the color is just so intense and saturated, and it also reminds me a little bit of those sheer lip tints. So definitely feeling that grungy lip look with this color. Next up we have the shade Eros Jelly, and this one is a really deep, cool toned purple jelly polish. Again, we have that intentional sheerness, and you can see it actually starts off really light and it builds up to a nice deep color. One thing I did notice with this shade, which was really interesting, I always like to let you guys know that I have pretty warm undertones, so when I'm working with a more sheer polish, some of that warm undertone can come through a little bit in less coats. So when it was on the more sheer side, I feel like it definitely gives a little bit more of a warmer color on my nails, but once I built it up and I ended up doing that in 3 coats, I was able to see a little bit more of that cooler tone. So again, just really fun to kind of build it up, and I feel like this is the type of polish that would also be really fun to experiment with. You can actually do a jelly sandwich with another jelly, so this jelly could be on the top and bottom layer, but the middle layer could be Bitten jelly or something else, and it'll completely change the vibe of the color. So definitely a lot of fun experimenting to be had. And the third jelly of the collection is NSFW jelly, which if you guys aren't familiar with the acronym, it means not safe for work, which I think is actually a pretty cute and clever name. And this one is a sheer black jelly. So you can actually see in the first coat, it is super light. It almost has a little bit of like a gray vibe before you build it up to full coverage. So I think that this is actually perfect for really sheer black nail art. I feel like this is perfect for so much jelly sandwich experimenting, so I'm really excited to have it. I'm sure a lot of you guys are curious how this compares to my Orly smoke jelly, but I think these are actually super different from each other. If you want me to do a comparison short, just let me know in the comments, but yeah, here's what it looks like in 3 coats. Next up we have the shade Nirvana, and this one is their cream finish of the collection, and it is a bright yellow cream. It definitely has a little bit of an orangey tone to it, and it is absolutely gorgeous. One of my favorite things that Cirque does is these really beautiful opaque yellow cream polishes, and they just make them so well. For whatever reason, I find yellow to be the most difficult color to get right in a cream formula, and I usually need to do 3 coats for full coverage, and that was was the case here, but I find that to be pretty standard when it comes to yellows. It's super bright. It's really gorgeous. If you're familiar with the Cirque Vice collection, their shade Munchies is pretty similar to this, but I think this one is a little bit deeper and possibly just a slight touch more orangey toned. So really gorgeous. Very excited to have this added to their permanent line. Now moving on to the topper shade of the collection. This one is called All Nighter, and it is a metallic flake topper, and I was so excited about this because it's really unlike any topper I have. It's a little bit harder to tell on camera just because it's so reflective and shiny, but this has these little flecks of silver, gold, and like this pale green color in all of these little irregular fleck shapes, and I just think it is so unique for a topper. It's such an interesting twist on the classic flaky kind of topper, and I feel like this is such a pretty, I don't know, it reminds me of money a little bit, which might sound weird, but I don't know. The vibes are giving me a little bit of like a money, shredded money floating through the sky. I don't know. Sometimes I let my imagination get the best of me, but here's what it looks like over Nirvana, and I think it's really gorgeous. I also, of course, had to do a little bit of a jelly sandwich, so I took the shade Bitten Jelly and I applied that over one coat of the all-nighter topper, and already you can see it really transforms that glitter, and of course it gives everything a nice pinky tinge, but I feel like it also gave a little bit of like a purpley vibe. Then I went back in with a second coat of All Nighter, and I like that this is just the perfect amount of glitter that you can do multiple layers and it doesn't start to feel overwhelming on the nails, but it's still interesting enough in one coat that you can just do one coat if that's what you prefer. But here I am just applying one more coat of Bitten Jelly over it to create the full vibe, and actually looking at it now after my little dragon fruit idea, I feel like this is a little bit of a dragon fruit vibe too. Even though it's silver instead of black, it kind of looks like seeds. So I think this is a really cute jelly sandwich. And the last polish of the collection is this shade Chemistry, which is described as a gray polish that has a silver magnetic pigment in it. And I was so excited about this one. It reminds me a lot of their previous Aura collection. If you guys remember that, it was such an exciting collection of these really soft polishes with this silvery sort of shimmer running throughout that had magnetic pigment in it. And they introduced, to me at least, this new kind of magnetization, which I always call either the crystal style or the aura style, and it was totally life-changing for me. So I immediately wanted to try magnetizing this in that way, which basically means you just hover the magnet around your nail instead of over it for that cat eye magnet, and it creates such a unique three-dimensional effect. And I was so pleased to see that that is actually what happened with this polish. It looked just like the aura polishes, and it is just so cool to magnetize this way. I just magnetized it the way that I normally do, which is I applied 2 coats for full coverage, and then I did a third coat and applied the magnet while that third coat was still wet, and I absolutely love the way that it turned out. But I also wanted to show you guys what that looks like as a cat eye polish. So I went in with 2 coats again for full coverage, applied my third coat to magnetize, and then I just held the magnet over it for 30 seconds, and then I was able to get that usual style of cat eye magnetic. And again, it's really gorgeous. It does have a little bit of a sheerness to it, so you can see the visible nail line underneath. And as soon as I magnetized it this way, I knew that I would be able to do a jelly sandwich with it. So of course I decided to pull out Bitten Jelly again, which I think is probably my favorite of the trio because I couldn't stop using it, and I decided to apply a layer of Chemistry over that, and then I magnetized it. And honestly, even just on its own, I think it looks really pretty as a magnetic topper. And you don't just have to magnetize it in the cat eye way, you can also do it in the aura style, and I think that also looks really cool. But of course, with my experimenting, I also wanted to see what it looked like jellied, so I applied another coat of Bitten, and I thought it looked so cool. It really transformed that silver into a pinky color. One recommendation I do have is if you are using magnetic polishes in a jelly sandwich, or even if you're just putting top coat over it, I always recommend putting the magnet over the final coat just to help keep that magnetic pigment really sharp. Otherwise, it might diffuse a little bit while you are applying it. And then last but not least, we have the Oil Slick Nail Art Transfer Foil Kit. So we've got two different types of foil. We've got this one gradient style that's just a whole bunch of colors. It definitely looks like an oil spill. And then we've got the second one, which is a little bit more of a line water marbly kind of style. And this is a really easy kit to use. Basically, you just take the Get a Grip transfer foil base, you apply it onto either your naked nail or your dry nail polish. I just used a coat of black nail polish, let it dry, and then once you apply it, it starts off white, but it does dry clear. You want to wait until it gets clear, and then you can take a little piece of your foil, press it onto your dry nail, and then what I wanted to do was see if I can make a full nail transfer. So I just press that onto my nail, and then I use another nail just to kind of push down on it and make sure that I'm getting all of the edges. And then you peel off the foil and you are left with the coolest foil nails. And I love it. Honestly, my camera does not do this justice because it is so reflective. You can just see me and my lights and my camera in the reflection here, but it is so cool. You really got to see this effect in person. I also wanted to show you what it looked like when you apply top coat over it, because it does cause the foil to scrunch up a little bit, but I think that is also a really cool effect. It almost gives it a little bit of a textural look, even though it does feel smooth to the touch. It looks really cool and, I don't know, foily. So definitely enjoy that. I thought maybe if I had a white background, it would be a little bit easier to see that rainbow foil on my nails, but I'm not sure if that helped too much. So let me just move on. I also wanted to show you how you can apply the foils without doing a full nail. So I went in with a coat of white and I applied my foil base, which it is a little bit harder to tell if that is dry when you apply it over a color like white, but I just waited a couple of minutes, got it to be nice and dry, and then I went in with the other type of foil, the one with the lines on it, and I just went in and kind of pressed little random spots on my nail so that I would get a cool grungy kind of effect. And I really love this style as well. This is the way that I normally find myself applying foils, and I think it looks really cool. One tip that I didn't know when I first started doing foils, so I should probably tell you guys, is when you're applying foil, you want to do it design side up. So the side that has nothing on it, just the plain side, that is the side that touches your nail. So you want to see the design when you're pressing it onto your nail. That's how you get it onto your nail, and it just kind of transfers onto it. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, again, you really couldn't see how cool this design was because the reflection of my camera is black and it kind of covers up how cool it looks in real life. But I had an idea. I thought maybe I could try to apply a matte top coat over it just so I could lose some of that shine so you could see what it looked like. And of course, I don't think it's as cool with matte top coat over it, but at least you can see some of those crazy colors that are coming through, and you can see that it looks way cooler in person. So here is a look at the 6 polishes that are in the collection. The 3 jellies are on top, and then we've got the cream, the topper, and the magnetic polish on the bottom. And even though we have a lot of colors going on here, looking at them side by side, there's definitely a cohesiveness to it. It is giving me that soft grunge vibe. I absolutely love jellies, can't get enough of them, and I really appreciate that they also came out with polishes that you can use with the jellies to do a little bit of experimenting, to do some jelly sandwiches with. So I think that's a really fun twist on a jelly polish release. And then of course we just get a nice classic with Nirvana, which you can also apply the jellies over if you want to change the color of it. That is something that I really enjoy doing with jellies as well, just using them to kind of change up polishes that I already own and make them into new colors. So definitely a lot of fun with this collection. Just the polishes on their own are super fun, but also the foil set is just endless experiments, and that is my favorite thing to do with polish, is experiment with it. So those are the polishes, and overall I'm really excited about these. I think that the colors are really interesting. Obviously I love jelly nail polishes. I talk about them a lot. I've done a few nail art videos on them, but my absolute favorite thing to do with jelly nail polish is to do jelly sandwiches, which is when you are layering a jelly above and below either a glitter or something in the nail polish. As you saw, I also did a little bit of experimenting with the magnetic polish, which was really fun. I've never done that before. are. So I just have a lot of fun. I also really appreciate how sheer these jellies are because I think it gives a lot more opportunities for experimental nail art. So definitely loved that. All of the colors in this collection really gave me that early 2000s grungy kind of vibe. Honestly, it's kind of funny swatching these in the midst of all of this Valentine's Day stuff starting to come up. This almost feels to me like an anti-Valentine's Day collection. Just the vibes that it gives me, I don't know. And of course, I was really excited about the foil nail art set. Honestly, I think that these foils are so gorgeous. I've used foils a lot in the past. It's been a while since I've done them, but these are definitely the prettiest ones that I've seen. I think they're great quality. I think they applied really nicely. And when I tell you, my camera does not do these justice. You really have to see them in person because they're just so reflective that they really reflected like my camera, my lens, all that stuff. So you couldn't see just how intense the colors were in there. But seriously, it's so much fun and you don't have to just do a full manicure. You can really experiment with how you want to apply the foil glue. Do like a French manicure, or you could do a specific design on your nail, and it's just a lot of fun. So definitely enjoyed that. Love rediscovering the beauty of transfer foils. So yeah, overall, I thought this was a really fun collection, and I think it really feels perfect for experimenting and for nail art, which are things that I absolutely love to do. So yeah, big thumbs up from me. So all of these polishes come in 11 milliliter bottles. They do have a round skinny brush, although I just saw that Cirque announced a new wide flat brush that they have offered now as a replacement brush, so I'll link that down below. But the polishes themselves, all of them aside from the shade Chemistry, which is the magnetic polish, are retailing for $12.50 each on the Cirque website. And then we have the magnetic shade Chemistry, which retails for $14.50 USD. And all of these are going to be permanent additions to the Cirque line. Then we also have the Oil Slick Nail Art Transfer Foil set. This is limited edition and this retails for $12.50, and you get the 2 different colored foils, and you also get the foil base, which is actually a pretty big bottle. Cirque is also doing a limited edition bundle set for 10% off retail. You can get all 6 of the polishes plus the foil transfer set, and that retails for $80.55 USD. So I'm going to link everything down in the description. You can check that out if you're interested, but I am so curious to hear what you guys think of this collection. What do you think of the inspiration? What do you think of these different finishes? Which is your favorite? Are you into the foil set? Leave all of your thoughts in the comments below. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please give this one a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. I also love to take any excuse to do more jelly experimenting videos. So if that's something you want to see, also let me know in the comments. And a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon and my Royal Astronomer Amanda M, as well as my Cosmic Admirals Rocky Man's daughter, Paola, Ken, and Rosie. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Rosie, and Rosie wants to know, do you ever read fan fiction? If so, which fandom? This is probably going to be a relatively disappointing answer, but no, I do not read any fan fiction, and I actually never have, I don't think. If you listen to my podcast that I have with my friend Leah, which is called It's All Geek to Me, we actually have it now on YouTube. We have had a lot of conversations about fan fiction and doing those like online writing roleplay kind of things, and that is just a world that I never really fully got into. I absolutely love reading. I read a lot. I think I said I read over 80 books in 2022, which I do think is a lot, but I find myself more invested in just full stories. I know that there are fan fictions that can be a lot of content and could be a full book or series worth of content, but I feel like for me, I don't really find myself staying in the same world after a series is done. So I think that that also makes me lose a little bit of interest. And I also just feel like, I don't know, it bothers me when I feel like something happens in a story that I wouldn't consider to be canon. Like if a character does something that I feel the author would think is out of character, I just wouldn't be able to enjoy that story. So I feel like that's where I really struggle with fan fiction. And I also think, like I said, because I finish a world and then I'll just move on to the next world, I don't really like to linger in stories for too long. Have recently, well, relatively recently in the last few years, gotten into rereading books that I have enjoyed. But before that, I actually never reread anything. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a struggle. I think it would take, it's something I could potentially get into, but I just feel like it would take a lot of time for me to get into fan fiction. So maybe ask me again in a few years. We'll see if it's something I've delved into. I used to talk about how much I hated audiobooks on my fun facts. Like in 2019, my habits have changed so much since 2020 that I listen to audiobooks all the time now. When I'm cleaning, when I'm working, when I'm driving, I love audiobooks now. And it's funny how that has changed. So I'm sure my thoughts on fan fiction will change too. But yeah, if you have any thoughts, if there's any particular fan fictions that you love to read, leave it all in the comments. We can chat about it, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.